Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast here every Tuesday and Friday, and this week, Bank Holiday Monday as well, because we will be reviewing AEW Forbidden Door, which will be at Come and Say Hi if you can find us. I'm Ollie Davis, I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD, and of course, subscribe to the WrestleTalk podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. That could be YouTube, that could be Spotify, that could be Apple Podcasts, and for the first time ever, we've got a new distribution deal. Really excited to announce this. It's my new book. It's my book that's going to get published in 10 days. I've not done any promotional work for it because, I mean, you think I'm being humble.
Yes.
I think I'm terrified that my dream might be coming true.
Because you've had this on the docket for a while now,
About a year.
and you've not told anyone in the office that you're writing a book. Not only that you're writing a book, that you're getting a book published. It took you a while to tell me.
Yes, yeah.
And you very just sort of like just offhand, it was like, oh yeah, by the way, I've got a book deal and it's getting published.
Yeah.
I think I found out like you might have accidentally said it in a sentence.
Yeah. I needed your advice because you had a book published a while ago as well. But yes, just the quotes here. We'll go into it more later. Don't worry.
I was going to say, in the running order, this comes up later in the show.
I'm going to shill it every segment. I've got to sell the pay-per-view. Paper. This is the paper. But yeah, just some of the plaudits. Brilliantly clever and highly original. That's from Luke Owen. That's on the back there. We've got from Adam Pearson. If you're a fan of Black Mirror, then this book is for you.
Which is a very apt quote, I will say, because I read an advanced preview of the book, and it genuinely is brilliant. And I think that a Black Mirror comparison is very apt.
Dominic Allen. Might notice a trend between all the people who have given me endorsement quotes. A hilarious romp through a crazy world of interdimensional vampires, deranged conspiracy theories to the afterlife, only slightly less mad than our own. And this is genuinely on the back, the first one on the blurb from Laurie Blake. I feel personally attacked. Because it's about the manosphere. Yeah. And Laurie is nothing but toxic masculinity. Yeah, so please do. There's a link in the video description below. It's the pre-order link on Amazon. Please do support me. But you'll also, it's a fun time. It's like
a good book, man.
It's 160 pages. It's technically a novella.
It's a breezy read. I genuinely, and we'll talk about it later, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. But yes, other stuff I guess we'll talk about today is AEW Forbidden Door. We're going to be doing our predictions for that.
We'll also be talking about the ESPN deal for WWE, which is now official. They'll be going head-to-head with All Out with WrestlePalooza, and they've got out of their Peacock deal early to jump on over to ESPN.
We've got a Dynamite review as always.
But we're going to kick things off with the talk of Chris Jericho, because earlier this week, while I was off actually, because I wasn't here on Monday, but I think he liked something on Instagram, and all of a sudden the internet's gone crazy, thinking he's going to be a surprise appearance in the Royal Rumble in 2026.
Well, usually when someone unfollows someone on social media, or someone likes something interesting, usually I take it with a pinch of salt. You know, are we being worked? Is there actually any reason to this? And, you know, we're WrestleTalk News. We will leap on that and title and clickbait the hell out of it right away.
Absolutely.
Triple H, if you go through all of his favorited tweets, one of them says that Paul Heyman is dumb. Yeah, okay, yeah, we're going to report on that.
That's why he started creating burner accounts, so that people like us wouldn't see his likes.
But what happened over the weekend was I can't remember which site, but an Instagram post went out and it just said, Chris Jericho is open to going back to WWE when his AEW contract expires. And this isn't a new story. This is kind of from an interview a few months ago where Chris Jericho said in that interview, oh yeah, I'd entertain offers. It's that sort of generic non-response where you're like, oh yeah, but you know, I'll listen to both sides. I'm open to anything if the deal's right. He said that for ages. He has also said versions of, I'm with AEW forever.
Yeah.
But so did Cody Rhodes. But what's interesting is Chris Jericho liked this post. Mm-hmm. A post about Chris Jericho being open about going to WWE.
And obviously it ties into the news that we've known for a while now, which is that his contract with AEW expires at the end of this year, though Fightful Select did add an additional report that could also be one of those cases where they add on additional time due to injury, maybe to try and scupper some WWE plans if he is indeed going to return to WWE. Like say, they want him for a Rumble return, and they can we can add like a month and a half onto your thing. We'll do that. We'll exercise that.
They don't do that. But they told me 6 years ago they wouldn't do that. I can't think of a single example where they have.
It's absolutely never happened at all. I mean, they eventually let Penta and Rey Fenix out of their deals. So maybe they'll just do it.
Yeah, and they should be lucky.
So maybe they'll just do it the day after the Royal Rumble. Be like, look, we'll be the good guys now. We'll let you out the day after the Royal Rumble.
Where I think that probably won't happen is Jericho hasn't been injured. Like, Jericho, weirdly, has been this consistent, uninterrupted run in AEW since its launch. On the first Double or Nothing, he is the winner of the AEW inaugural championship.
He wins the title at All Out.
Oh, is it All Out?
Yes.
What happens at Double or Nothing? That's when Moxley appears.
Yeah.
But that's in a Kenny Jericho match,
I think it's
right?
Kenny Jericho. Yeah, because it's the finals, isn't it? Because it's Hangman wins the Battle Royal, and I think it's Kenny Jericho in the other finals.
Yeah.
And then it's Jericho versus Page at All Out.
Yeah. And what happened is he went on like a Renaissance run. He was already in the middle of that because he did the New Japan match, the Wrestle Kingdom match against Kenny, which is, a lot of people say, Don Callis mostly, that's the match that really convinced Tony Khan, there is an actual business case for doing a viable alternative to WWE in North America.
I think it's more of a game changer than people do give it credit for, because New Japan were kind of getting more plaudits because they started putting English language commentary on their shows, and then you had the launch of New Japan World, which made it even more accessible for people outside of Japan to get hold of it. But that match put so many eyeballs. There was a huge spike in subscribers, and I think there were reports where anytime Jericho was announced for a match with New Japan, they did see a big bump in subscribers to New Japan World.
And then he is the inaugural champion. He is one of the focal reasons why AEW got that TV deal, because, hey, look, here's a big mainstream recognizable star in Jericho to elevate the likes of Kenny Omega and the Bucks, who we all loved and knew, but the mainstream audience weren't necessarily familiar with because they didn't have that North American exposure. And then he went on this, really amazing run.
It has been really good overall.
For the 3-4 years where he's the inner circle at the start, back when we thought people would be elevated if you're in a Jericho faction.
Okay, that's the problem, isn't it? It's with the benefit of hindsight, we can look back and say, Inner Circle didn't do anything for anyone. Jericho Appreciation Society didn't do anything for anyone. By the time you got to the Learning Tree, we're like, okay, this is not going to do anything for anyone. But at the time, Inner Circle in particular, we're like, this is great exposure for Proud and Powerful, for Santana and Ortiz. It's going to be great. Yeah, sure, Jake Hager's a weird addition, but that's only because it was supposed to be AJ and the Good Brothers. That was supposed to be the debuting faction, and instead they did Inner Circle because they re-signed with WWE.
But you also had Sammy Guevara. Well, he's one of the pillars. He's going to be the star that comes out of the Inner Circle.
The first match on Dynamite, it was him and Cody.
I love that Inner Circle run. I love some of the meta stuff they did, particularly the storyline with MJF, the Me and My Shadow routine, and I think one of the better heel turn reveals when MJF's like, oh, I've got my own faction.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? The pinnacle are here.
Yeah, and they had an incredible face-to-face promo segment that I remember doing, because it was during the pandemic, did a review of, saying, it's such a good promo segment, I'm now going to do live reactions for Blood and Guts next week, because I cannot wait to see this match. That's how good of a promo segment it was. It literally promoted a match that I was desperate to see.
And the Jericho Appreciation Society were a really fun act too. And then, my favourite actual run outside of the MJF feud of Jericho's is the ROH title reign.
Yeah,
it's the Ocho. And he just went on this amazing run of matches. I think Suzuki, Ishii.
It was during a period of time as well when AEW were in a little bit of a down point, because that's post-Brawl Out. So it was kind of I think AEW fans, I know this because I was one of them, trying to hang on to something because there was so much as like, I don't know what this company is right now because everything has just been thrown out the window. So Jericho, people like Jericho, Danielson, and Moxley were like the three guys to really step up to be like, we're going to be the locker room leaders. We're going to go out there and show this is what this company should be. And this is the product we want to put on, not the bad backstage stuff that's been happening since All Out.
But then everyone got bored of Chris Jericho. And it happened like everyone agreed at the same time. It's like the start of 2024.
I'd say it's the end of 2023.
Yeah, maybe
because that's when
well.
you got like the first of the please retire chants. And it was almost like, it was like a light switch went off and all of a sudden everyone collectively decided, I'm bored of this now.
Well, I think there was some sort of allegation stuff that didn't really go anywhere after a while. But then, that was right at the start of 2024. I think it was 2024.
I think it was the end of 2023, and then it was like kicked off into 2024. Yeah,
like almost overshadowed World's End.
I think it was because it was during World's End. I think is when the allegations first came up, or was like getting put out.
Yeah. So that's when I think people. There was a portion of people who were a bit over Jericho anyway. I wasn't one of them. To admit it, I loved the ROH title run so much, and I was getting a kick out of the Learning Tree, to be honest, which came later that year. But yeah, it became the popular thing to not like Jericho, just like it used to be with Cody. AEW are a really great fan base until they get too smarky for their own good. And I'm one of those. I also booed Cody. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And then we would also boo Chris Jericho. And I think the reason...
for me personally, I got sick of Jericho by the end of it. Because I think you're right. Like, I think we're going to talk about TV time. I genuinely think there's some really funny meta stuff within that. The idea was that Jericho takes up too much TV time. It should be given to younger people. So he set up a group that had a segment called TV Time with Chris Jericho that was taking up TV time away from younger people, including the people within his faction who were getting nothing out of it. It was this big... But I think what Becky is doing in WWE is a much better version of what Jericho was trying to do with the Learning Tree.
Well, so the title of this is like, what went wrong with Chris Jericho? Like, how could someone have such a great start, really respected? He had a whole 30-year... anniversary episode of Dynamite because he'd been in, he had his 1,000 matches and all that stuff. He is the veteran. But, I mean, is he on the Mount Rushmore of AEW?
Well, it has to be. I think without him, I think with people like him and Mox, you don't get that early exposure to AEW, to that WWE audience to be like, well, what's this thing over here? Because the New Japan, the indie audience, the people that were there for All In, we're going to watch AEW regardless because all of your favorites are on that show. It's Kenny, it's the Bucks, it's Hangman Page, it's Christopher Daniels, it's Frankie Kazarian. It's like all these guys over here you're really into. But to get that mainstream audience, those people you need Jim Ross on commentary. You need Chris Jericho as your top champion. You need Jon Moxley coming in there, former Shield member, former WWE champion. So those guys are really key to the early success of AEW. And I think you have to have Jericho as part of that.
Yeah, maybe not, in 5 years' time, he might not be a Mount Rushmore figure, but I think of the first 5 years of AEW, absolutely, he is one of the top 4 guys. If you remove Tony Khan from it, it's probably Kenny, Cody, Jericho, Moxley.
Yeah, I know, it's harsh to take away from the Bucks there because... But at the same time, it's I think at this point now, 5 years in, I don't think I'd have Jericho there. I'd have been put Moxley because Moxley was not there on day one like he was at that first press conference that they did. But he was there on the first show, and he then became the guy to be he actively chose not to re-sign with WWE and came across to AEW. Almost set that little template or so. So I think now you might say Moxley's probably been more of a standard bearer for AEW than Jericho has. But that's only because for the last year or so, AEW fans have decided we're bored of Chris Jericho. Case in point, last year at All In, during the match, I think it was the three-way tag match, because we were facing the stage, I could see they were setting up a drum kit on the stage. So I turned to you and I said, Jericho's coming up next. I'm going to go to the toilet now.
Well,
so
I think
once that match finished, I was like, I'm going to go now. So then I went, missed all of the Fozzy performance, and then I came back and I was about halfway through the Jericho match because I even want to go get drinking and food. I was not into the idea of watching Jericho and Hook again.
I think even when Jericho's at his highest point of popularity, I will still walk out on a Fozzy performance. Because I did that in 2023 All In.
So my brother-in-law, there's a band that he really likes that are supporting Fozzy on their UK tour that they're doing. And he texts me being like, what do you reckon of Fozzy? Because I really want to go see the support act. And I was like, well, we could just go see the support act and then go home. He said to me, he's like, I've really tried with Fozzy. And I just can't. I was like, well, they are a joke that got out of hand. Some people ribbed Chris Jericho that he was a good singer, and now all of a sudden he's in an actual band.
Yep, that's ego for you. It'll run wild if left unchecked. By the way, my book, HearRational. Did I say? I didn't even say the name of it. I'm so bad at this.
Well, I thought we would do the name and what the book's about.
The cover reveal. Do like a 2K25 cover reveal segment. I should have done so many ideas now. Now I've botched it. So what went wrong? I think there are multiple things that went wrong. We've already said that it's kind of repetitive. He'll get in a faction. You think he's going to elevate the other members of the faction. That doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. It's the Jericho Vortex.
It's the Jericho Vortex. I think the same applies for his opponents.
Yes.
What really started to annoy me was that no feud with Chris Jericho could be a month.
It never ended. Eddie Kingston had multiple endpoints to the feud, and it was like, oh no, this apparently is still going on.
Sammy Guevara, Wheeler Yuta, Hook.
Garcia.
Yeah, oh my God, Garcia went on forever. All of these guys, like young guys who should be getting elevated.
They don't get elevated.
Action Andretti. Like one of the best jobs, one of the best one-night jobs is Jericho, this guy who's meant to be an enhancement act in our eyes, and he beats Jericho. Instant star. And then nothing. Action Andretti's with Ricky Starks. And some of that's on Tony Khan, but it is weird that it's always in Jericho's feuds.
Yeah, exactly. And that is, I think, when fans started to turn against him, was that collective realization. No one gets over in a Jericho feud. No one gets over in a Jericho group. And I think the other part of that is one of Jericho's best traits he had when he was in WWE is he would take time off. He would go, he would leave, he would go on tour with Fozzy, he would just go away, and he'd come back with a brand new character. Jericho's always been, he's the genius of reinvention. Not every one of them works, but he will always manage to find one of them. A little bit of the bubbly.
Bit of the bubbly.
Like that got over huge. It was like a big part of like that early pandemic, when he was in the feud with Orange Cassidy and had the Mimosa match and this and the other. So he's always the genius of reinvention, but he takes time off. And I don't think he's taken enough time off from AEW to justify having 6-month feuds with Eddie Kingston, where Eddie's getting nothing out of this feud anymore, and then just getting another group with a bunch of guys who are getting nothing out of this group. And it's after a while, you do just get sick of sight. You can't miss someone if they don't go away.
That's exactly it. In WWE, of course, he wrestled in WCW, Attitude Era, Undisputed Champion. But that sort of ends in 2005. And then for the next 10 years, he'll go away for a year, 2 years, come back. Like he'll do Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, come back for the Rumble. Come back for that amazing Shawn Michaels feud. But then he's gone. Mm-hmm. Then 6 months might go by. Comes back at the Rumble again.
Yeah, with a brand new character.
It's the shiny jacket. It's the list. It's some really great stuff.
The fake babyface run.
Yeah,
where he wasn't coming out saying anything.
Yeah.
And he's there for the hot tag, then just walks away.
Yeah, he's got all of these things. And granted, we don't remember the ones that don't work, but that's usually because he'll come back and he's a smart guy. 3 weeks, this isn't working. He pivots and he does find gold because he chucks a lot of stuff at the wall.
That's it. I think the first promo he does when he joins WWF in '99 is a brilliant promo for anyone, if you're an aspiring wrestler, to watch. Because he drops 5 different catchphrases in that first promo to be like, just so you all know, these are all the things you're going to be chanting along with. And all of them might not work, but at least 3 of them will. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really good promo.
And I don't obviously I've got a book, HearRational, but Chris, there's going to be a lot of this. Chris Jericho's books are fantastic. They're really well written and they're really insightful. A lot of the stuff I believe I know about wrestling is actually probably from Jericho's book mostly, over Foley's.
Those two in particular, I think the A1 and 1A. I think
and Brad's probably.
Yeah, although that's a very...
It's mostly bitching.
It's a sad book as well, because you got to read about Brett's awful upbringing.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm glad I'm not part of the Hart family during that period of time.
And how small is this text? Like, is this like 20,000?
This is a big old book, right?
It's not an easy one-sitting read like HearRational by Oliver Davis.
But there's a bit of Jericho's description of leaving WCW and going to the WWF that I think really has become almost like the template. There's like, the inmates running the asylum is usually a thing that people describe about WCW compared to the WWF at the time. But he has the description of it's like Oz, of going from black and white to color. He said that's the way I saw from going to WCW to WWF, and you're like, oh, this is how a wrestling promotion is supposed to be run, and this is what it's. And you hear people to this day. That book came out 30 years ago, 25 years ago, still using that as a phrase of how the difference between WCW and WWF.
So it's kind of like a sad position to be in as a Jericho fan, particularly a Jericho fan who lived through the Y2J countdown, and it was incredible stuff.
Good, yeah.
And he's done so many great things. The Michaels feud, the Festival of Friendship with Owens, it's like my favorite in-ring segment of all time.
Yeah, you love it.
The whole, a lot of the stuff in AEW. But I think you're exactly right. And I think if Jericho was taking time off every year, every 18 months, or he'd go away for 6 months, do whatever other creative project he has, and then he comes back, you can actually have all of these things we've loved, the ROH title run, JAS, Inner Circle, but you just spread those out.
Yeah.
So we could be here in 2025 where we have had all of those great bits, but it's just spread out over an amount of time. And like you said earlier, we got to miss Jericho and want him to come back. Mm-hmm. Whereas what's happened, he's become very stale. And really, I think it's the best idea for him to go to WWE.
The only thing I would add on to it is not only taking the time away and coming back, it's actually using the group for good. And so it's actually elevating up a Sammy Guevara. It is elevating a Daniel Garcia. It is elevating a Proud and Powerful. It's doing a feud where someone gets something out of the back of it, which it's not just taking that away. It's also not getting anyone over. Feuded with 100 people in AEW, and every one of them was in the exact same position that they entered in. No one advanced in. And I think the other thing with Jericho is at times it just feels like any one of his runs is a new advert for a new Fozzy song that he's got. That's actually the most important thing, is that, Fozzy got to play Wembley Stadium twice. Yeah. So that's a bigger accolade for Jericho than he got to wrestle Will Ospreay at Wembley Stadium.
That's it. You're right. That's another thing where he does go, oh, that's hot. I'll have me a bit of
that. Yeah,
right.
Right.
So we're all like, oh, what's Ospreay going to do at Wembley? Oh, he's wrestling Chris Jericho. Excuse me, he's wrestling Chris Jericho?
Yeah.
Oh.
And when he left WWE, I think that was one of his first real smart things he did, is he attached himself to the Young Bucks and attached himself to Hot Meme Max. Just I'm going to do something with Warhorse, because he's a current internet meme at the moment. So I'll do something with that, because I can jump on.
Nick Gage.
Nick Gage is another one. Danhausen. I was like, I'll jump onto a lot of these guys, particularly like the Jericho crews. Michael Oku's a really hot act at the moment. I'll jump onto something with Michael Oku. He's very smart at noticing trends and being like, okay, I want to attach myself to them now. But by doing so, he did often lessen the effect of those people.
I wonder how much of it is Tony Khan being like, Jericho, you're so important.
Yes.
Because he's a stats-driven guy. I believe there used to be a lot of evidence that Jericho's segments just rated better than all the other segments, probably because of that mainstream recognition.
Yeah.
So he's like, you can't take those 6 months off like you used to in WWE.
Yeah,
we need you around. And I think if Jericho took time off after feuds, that would create the space for those guys to get over.
Yeah.
If Sammy Guevara beats Chris Jericho at the end of their, year-long storyline, Jericho goes away, and then Sammy can, hopefully thrive.
Yeah.
Whereas Jericho is just there, and he sort of drags everyone back down with him.
I think it doesn't help that it's Sammy.
Yes, it's a bad example. But Daniel Garcia.
But Daniel Garcia, I think, is a good example of this. And we've heard through people at AEW that feuds were, and this is not related to Jericho, but feuds that should have ended earlier and were meant to end earlier were extended out because they were big ratings draws. And so like, Warner Brothers were just like, oh, you should do more of this. Oh, this guy or this girl is doing really well. You should put more of them on the TV show. So storylines that had a natural conclusion were extended out erroneously because, well, we need to put them out there because it's a current draw at the moment. It actually isn't like the worst practice in the world. If something is hot, you should try to capitalize on it rather than just like squash it dead. But I think it works as a detriment with Jericho and a lot of those feuds. Like the Eddie Kingston one, I think is the one I will always point to the example of. That went on so much, and I loved it at the start. When he beat Jericho in that first match, and he had the injured eye, and he couldn't quite believe that he'd done it. He won the big one. It's like, this is great. And then it's Claudio taps him out in Blood and Guts, and you're like, oh, this is going to spin off into a Jericho, into a Claudio Eddie feud. That's a great. And it doesn't. It just furthers the Eddie Jericho feud. And you're like, but when you've just done War Games, how are you still feuding?
Oh yeah, that and Jericho would always be in Blood and Guts as well, and it would always be the start of the feud. And like, what's going on here? So it's not just us speculating, oh, maybe he'll go to WWE. It's also the wrestling business, because the Wrestling Observer have said they've heard from people in WWE that they're talking about Jericho coming in. There's definitely a lot of talk there. Speculation about a Rumble return.
Fightful said that despite what Dave is saying, they have not heard of any creative pitches for Jericho. So it might just be some talents talking about like, oh man, if Chris comes in, we could always do this.
And shall I tell you who I think that talent is? Chris Jericho.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. If anyone is spreading these rumors, it's Jericho. Or people close to Jericho are telling Meltzer, oh, by the way, people in WWE are really talking about me coming in.
Which is great, because then if Tony wants to keep him, that money's going to go up. When Jericho's a cold, stale act right now. Hasn't been on TV, by the way, as well, since April.
He actually has taken time off.
Yeah, he's not, but we don't know if he's injured. So that's why I don't think time would be added on to his contract. I can't remember him taking any time off due to injury.
This one feels more like he actually is just taking time away because he had grown stale, with the idea that maybe he can come back. But you mentioned it earlier, I think it is the right move career-wise for him to go back to WWE, where he could be so much fresher in WWE. There's a bunch of guys there that he's not done anything with, that he could go and do something with.
CM Punk.
It would feel like a fresh start for him. If he just goes back to AEW, it's never going to get anywhere past where it currently is. Like Cody. Cody made the jump to WWE at the right point for Cody in his AEW run, because his AEW run had become Cody Island and everyone was making fun of it. Went to WWE and became WWE champion, became one of their top stars. If he'd have stayed in AEW, he'd have just been on Cody Island forever. And it was never going to benefit him in any way. But it would massively benefit Jericho.
So Jericho's contract is reportedly due to expire in December. We don't know when in December, but the obvious speculation is Royal Rumble. Do you want to know how I would do it? So whatever number it is, maybe it's number 30, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and then it transforms into the Y2J countdown. So you get the pre-pop. You get a pre-pop for the break the walls down. Because if he comes out to Fuzzy in WWE, I'm like, nope.
Where's that Jim Johnston jam that I want to hear?
But yeah, I think it's definitely the right move for him. But let us know what you all think in the comments down below. But you're telling me one more thing in my lovely wrap-up there.
I know, man. I do apologize. I don't want to step on that. I just wanted to, completely agree with your point you made that I think this is more Tony Khan's fault than it is Jericho's, because I think Tony Khan is someone, I don't know this from experience, or like what I've been told or anything, but Tony Khan does appear to be a person who will just listen to stars and be like, oh, I would love to, tell me what you want to do. I think you should go do it, champ, go do it. He put the belt on CM Punk when Hangman Page should have been the champion for more time than he was, because you were telling a much longer story with that. But the other point is, Jericho said some really bad words about Triple H. Like, he's always been the guy that he's kind of like taken his shots at since leaving WWE. So he's going to have to eat a lot of humble pie if he is going to come back. And you know who will really want to serve him that humble pie? Triple H would love, hey there, pal. You want to have a slice of this pie?
Yeah. Isn't the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia? Get out there, buddy. Do some presses. Talk about how great Saudi is.
Yeah. WWE have got out of their deal with Peacock. a little earlier than planned. It was supposed to be the ESPN relationship was supposed to start in April next year with WrestleMania 42, but it has been moved forward about 7 months to start next month in September.
I can't understand the timeline of this because ESPN Plus, when they announced the streaming service, which was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when James Storm was over. So it was a couple of weeks ago. And then they said that it would start in April 2026.
Yeah.
And then in the 10 days since then, they're like, no, it's starting next month.
Yeah, next month. So the Hollywood Reporter, it's always difficult to say, the Hollywood Reporter reported, I didn't just change your name, Hollywood Reporter, it's difficult for me as an aggregator to echo the things that you're saying. So the way that they report on it is that, oh, he's got a sneeze, I'm going to fill for time, that ESPN were very keen for WWE to be part of the launch of the ESPN streaming service because Fox are launching one at the exact same time. So ESPN need everything that they can on launch date to make sure they actually, like the start of the Hollywood Reporter article is like ESPN are ensuring that they are the talking points of these announcements, that no one's going to talk about the Fox streaming service. And so part of that is to do an agreement with, so WWE then came to an agreement with Peacock to get out of their deal early effectively, and then can push that to ESPN, which is owned by Disney. And the way that they've done this is by, it turns out the Peacock deal was not just a length of time, it was a certain amount of shows. And they went to them and was like, well, we gave you all the shows that we said we were going to do because we've done things like 2-night WrestleManias, 2-night SummerSlams, and bonus shows like Evolution. So now we've actually fulfilled our contract.
It feels quite carny if that's what
wrestling.
If that's what they did. I feel like, the ESPN negotiations would be going on, let's just say 6 months from the first time Nick Khan starts calling, probably longer. The last 6 months, that takes us back to February, really, so pre-WrestleMania. I've got to think that Peacock are at the very least aware those conversations are happening because people talk. It's very difficult in the industry to keep stuff like that quiet. So they would have talked about it. So I don't feel like... I'd struggle to see a version where WWE surprise Peacock and go, we've done them all, we're out. I feel like this was agreed back in February or January. Like, we're going to run all these shows head to head with AEW, and we'll wrap up in the end of August.
So I disagree. I think that maybe this has, based on the way that this has been covered and reported, I think that it has come at a fairly late date. The plan was to stick around until April next year, but ESPN were really keen on having WWE as part of the streaming service at launch. So that's when those conversations happen of, well, how do we get you off of here? Because the way the Hollywood Reporter writes is that Disney did not buy out the rest of the Peacock deal. Meltzer, in his write-up about it, says, like, I don't know what the accuracy of that is, but it certainly is a nice way that doesn't make Disney look like they're the bad guys and have bought someone out of a contract. But it is like, no, we just brokered a deal where you can get out of your contract early. Although, again, this isn't like that uncommon. There's a lot of bands who are tied into say you've got a 5-album deal, but you're really sick of that at album 3. You just release 2 albums on the same day. You're like, well, we've done all 5 albums. Insane Clown Posse did it with Bizarre and Bizarre.
My favourite one of that is Van Morrison. I think it was like a 5-album deal, and he just got smashed. And it'd go down and it just folded in.
Yep. COVID's not real. Put that album out. But so I think that it has come together at a fairly late date. But obviously, I think you're right. The discussions between WWE and ESPN have been going for a fair amount of time because ESPN are so keen for this to be a big deal. And the first one they're doing is WrestlePalooza on September 20th, directly head-to-head with AEW. So not only is it WWE's first show on the new ESPN streaming platform, it's not only Brock Lesnar's first WWE match in 2 years, it is the first main roster PLE to run head-to-head with an AEW show. Previously, it's just been NXT shows that they've done.
Yeah, it's a big swing by WWE. I'll be interested to see how much of an effect it has. Obviously, it will have some effect. I don't think AEW will emerge at the same level they would have done buy rate-wise had this not been going head-to-head at the same time. But I also think the crossover particularly with the decision to bring in Lesnar, particularly with the high price point of ESPN. I think if ESPN Plus, which is $29.99 a month, I think if they have a free trial, I think that does hurt All Out quite a lot. If they don't, I think you've got this price barrier plus the Brock Lesnar thing, so like a price barrier and a sort of political thing people might push against and choose AEW over it. And AEW's fan base do seem to be more anti the Brock Lesnar side of things. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I get the impression, and I said this on yesterday's WrestleTalk news, and I haven't seen the comments for it yet because we're recording this before that episode has gone out. I think people will have made up their minds beforehand. Like, I think even at this point here, our audience will already know which show they're watching on that day. They're either watching All Out or they're watching WrestlePalooza. I think there may be some people on the fence of like, I don't know which. It depends on what the rest of the card looks like as to whether I'm going to sign up for ESPN for $30 or I'm going to buy a $50 AEW pay-per-view. Because that's the other thing as well. It's like, yeah, it's $30 a month, but it's $50 for the AEW pay-per-view. That is $20 more.
For an audience that's used to paying for them, though. It's really difficult to increase the price of things. Well, trust me.
So, I mean, so,
but obviously, inflation is a thing, and prices have been going up, but they're more incremental. To go from the $10 that we've been used to for 15 or so years with the WWE Network, to then go boom, $30 for PLEs. I know you get the rest of sports content that ESPN will have, but
that's only if you're interested in that sports content.
I think you're also paying for Netflix. You're also paying for
Peacock. So you need to keep hold of that because that's got NXT PLEs, and we'll get onto this in a minute. Saturday night's main event is moving off NBC and going behind the paywall to Peacock.
Yeah, I think this. I don't know how much longer WWE rinsing their fan base will last.
Well, yeah.
And as that sort of business, you just want to nudge it as far as you can.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the first time I've felt. I think this might be going too far. Sure, you can have like 50 grand tickets at WrestleMania. You're always going to have a few whales who are going to make those purchases. But I think this is you need this model to scale and everyone to get on board with this. I don't think the fan base will take it.
So there was an article in The Guardian that highlighted that piracy has increased massively. It was actually piracy was on a real downtrend leading into 2020, and even in 2020 it wasn't like huge, but like visits to places like Pirate Bay and things like that. But since 2020, it has been going up massively. It's almost like doubled in the last 5 years, and the reason for that, the theory is because these streaming services start you out at a certain price point, but it just keep bringing that up more than what inflation is. Like the ad-supported tier of Disney Plus is more expensive now than when Disney Plus launched 5 years ago with no ads. And that's not inflation. That is just them realizing that this does not make any money as it currently stands at a cheap price point. So we have to just keep raising the prices to try and get people to pay more money because it's the only way that we can keep supporting this sort of platform.
Well, I don't think that's them realizing that was always the business model. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. It's the drug dealer outside of the school. Here's your free trial. Here's the discount one. Get you hooked.
Yeah.
And you increase it over time.
Yeah.
All of these streaming services always took incredibly heavy losses in the first year to 5 years because they know they will ramp up the price. It will be baked into their business plan over the course of the term.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the ESPN deal is massive for WWE because it's going to put them in a very big ESPN family that is all in football. And it's already paying dividends for them because the second that the announcement got made that WrestlePalooza is going to be on there, do you know what was dropped from ESPN's website? AEW coverage. And all of the AEW links that they had on there, all of the AEW coverage gone from the website. It is now only WWE, which means now it will only be WWE content that gets covered on there. And because they're part of the family, it's going to be very positive coverage of AEW content on the websites.
And also ESPN, it's Disney. It just pushes me more into the arms of my Warner Bros. DC, AEW leaning heart.
And I think it might do. But it's massive news for WWE. It's very interesting news as well. I'm going to be so curious to see what's going to happen when it comes to All Out and WrestlePalooza. But my gut tells me that there will be a very small number of people that are on the fence. And I think people will have already decided how they're going to spend their money come September 20th, whether it's going to be signing up for this one $30 a month or paying $50 for this pay-per-view here. I think that decision has already been made by most people. Why? That's a fine-looking book you're reading there. What a cool front cover.
Oh, why, thank you very much. This is HearRational by me, Oliver Davis. Yeah, I went for... my mum told me to do this. She said you should go by your full name as an author.
I think it's nice.
I think it's nice, but now... I did buy olliedavis.com, so I don't know if... Now I'm thinking about it. You know, all the things that we would critique wrestling promotions doing, like, oh, that's incorrect.
Why does the left hand not know what the right hand is doing?
Literally, in the same person, I have made all these mistakes. But yeah, I have been... I wrote this a couple of years ago. It is a novella. It's about two people. One is this sort of well-meaning influencer, YouTube influencer, not connected, who falls down quite a manosphere toxic conspiracy theory thing, and he gets very, very popular, but he's very well-meaning. He doesn't know what's happening. And then it's paralleled with the story of Audrey Lowe, who is a sort of psychology researcher who is trying to prove something about why people believe conspiracy theories. So that sounds dense, but it's a comedy.
Yeah,
it is a satire.
It is funny.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm really proud of it. It's my I've always wanted to write fiction. I used to, as like an 8-year-old, I used to make Doctor Who books.
Yeah.
I would write like a 5-page story in little A5 things. Held together with drawstring. Nice. I would copy it out. And I would make like 10 copies. And I'd give them out in junior school.
That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. But yes, it's out on the 2nd of September. So if you use the link in the video description or the podcast description, you can pre-order your copy on Amazon.
So what you're saying is that there's now a third option for how people are going to spend their money on September 20th. Do you get ESPN Plus? Do you get All Out? Or do you buy Oliver Davis's debut novel?
Well, it's a physical thing. You get to own that. You're not renting the book, which won't be there next month. It's not a subscription model.
Yeah.
But maybe I should look into like a 10p subscription model. But you do have to pay 10p for the rest of your life. Yeah. And in a year's time, it will be 50 quid a month.
It is really good, though. Like I very much enjoyed reading the preview copy of it. And I'm very proud of you as well for reading this. And I'm super happy for you as well. Because like it's really good. And I know that you've been working on various different writing projects for the last couple of years. Remember during the pandemic, you took that week off. Not for a holiday because we couldn't take holidays, but you treated it like a different job.
Yeah.
I drove over to your house to pick up all of the news equipment and drove it back to my house so I could film the news for a week because you just took a week off and did a different job for a week.
Yes,
and that was writing a book.
Yeah. That wasn't this one.
No, it's not that one.
I couldn't quite get my head round £100,000 story. I feel like you got to
start small.
Yeah. So this is, I think it's like 33,000 words. It's exactly 33,000 words. Who am I kidding? But yeah, it's 180 pages.
Beautiful.
It's a breezy read. I think you can read this. I'm a slow reader. It's like 4 hours. So
I did it in a couple of train rides. So yeah, that would be about sort of like I think like 6 hours. I think because I wanted to take some notes while I was reading it as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah, please go over there, and you will be hearing plenty about that book for the next ages.
This week's episode of Dynamite was from Glasgow.
Glasgow.
In Scotland.
Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow. With a hot crowd.
Yeah, it was a hot crowd, but weirdly, last night I watched the clip of Grado winning the ICW World title from Drew Galloway in 2015. I think it was in the same building. That's a hot crowd. That was now a new level.
A different era.
Oh my God.
Brit Rest right
if you've not seen it, go and watch it. It is. I've watched it again this morning with people in the office. It's like life affirming.
It was mad how over Grado was for that period of time. And that's why, like, when they came over to the UK, there was this real big push, by the likes of Tom Campbell and stuff, to get Grado as part of All In. And he wasn't part of All In last year, was he? But I think because he did Riot Cabaret last year instead. We watched him and Shah Samuels.
Match of the weekend.
It was like I felt like I was back in 2012 watching those two wrestle. It was wonderful. But yeah, it was Bryan Danielson opening this show because Taz had taken some time off. Nigel McGuinness is busy facing Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door, so he can't do commentary. So Blue Panther, a.k.a. Bryan Danielson, came out to do commentary instead. And I was like, the second I see him on screen, I'm like, oh, I've missed you so much.
Yes. Well, I mean, what a treat. He is so good on commentary. On all these guest commentary roles over the years, I think we always say in those reviews, God, Bryan Danielson was great on commentary. And throughout the entire show, I really thought he added an extra unique insight. And I don't know if it's because he's saying anything different, or I just respect him more.
Yeah, I think it's because he is, when you have someone like Taz or McGuinness doing commentary, they are talking about people they have not been in the ring with. They are talking about like, from my experiences as a wrestler, it's X, Y, and Z. Danielson, when he's talking about Brody King or FTR or Bandito, he's like, oh, when I've been in the ring with them, this is what they bring to a match. Which I think is a very different level to just being like, as an ex-wrestler, X, Y, and Z. But it was Ospreay that opened the show proper, and this look, I mean, a lot of the biggest Dynamite in ages, it was like 7,000 people for it. And he put over the Greg sausage roll, but not the dirty vegan one. Give him a chance, Will. They're dead nice.
I feel like that was an ad-lib, because he told a great story about the old days of British indie wrestling and how we outdrank the Yanks when they come over, and then it'll be like bleary-eyed on a night out and he's starving and nowhere's open, and then down this particular street in Glasgow there's a Greg's,
a 24-hour Greg's.
And a sausage roll chant started again. Sausage roll, sausage roll. It wasn't that, was it?
Was it the other one, which is sausage roll?
That was it, yeah. And as that was going, Ospreay looked at Danielson and went, none of that vegan crap. And Danielson stood up. Like, you want to go?
Yeah.
It was, Ospreay is the perfect babyface.
Yeah, but having a pop with the vegan sausage roll, as has been pointed out, he is thick. So I know some dumb people. You're the dumbest wrestler I've ever met, and I know Will Ospreay.
I prefer the vegan one.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's nicer. It's also because like they butter the pastry for the meat one, and I prefer actually the softer pastry. It's less flaky. But anyway, what I really liked about this segment is it has added some kayfabe reasoning as to why this is a lights out cage match, and has added some incredible stakes to it as well. Because Ospreay said, "Hey, I told you a couple of weeks ago, I've got a really bad neck, and actually I'm really scared about this because previously I thought I was invincible. People used to joke about me. I'd just always bounce back up. You can never put me down. But now I am staring at neck surgery, and that's really scary. But I'm not medically cleared. That's why this is lights out, because I have to face the Death Riders." And you're looking at this team, and it's broken neck Will Ospreay, broken body Hiroshi Tanahashi, diverticulitis Kenny Omega, and not as good as he was Kota Ibushi. Darby Allin, who's just come back from Mount Everest, is the fittest of the bunch.
Yeah, it's interesting you say kayfabe there, because what I think makes Will so great is I don't know if it's actually a shoot.
I don't think AEW would.
Obviously, he's been medically cleared, but there's enough truth in there, I think, where his neck definitely is bothering him.
Probably is, yeah.
Where I'm like, but I don't know if he should wrestle this match.
I think if there was not a show at the O2 this month, he would not be wrestling this month.
Yeah, and that is the reality, which ties perfectly into the person Will is as an actual human being. That's why I think he's like the best babyface.
Yeah.
But actually better than Cody, because Cody is more performing a character. Will works so great because he is Will.
Yeah. And he said that before they take a scalpel to me, I want my pound of flesh from them. Mox and Shafir walked down to the ring, and then Jet Speed came down because the rest of the Death Riders showed up. And then Hiroshi Tanahashi came out because we had a 6-man tag of Hiroshi Tanahashi and Jet Speed versus the Death Riders. We could talk a lot about the match. The good guys won.
Yeah.
Tanahashi hit High Fly Flow for the win. It was absolute madness and chaos that came afterwards that I think we want to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it worked for me.
The match or the...
Well, the match was what it was. It was fine. But then the Bullet Club War Dogs, like that Robbie X, Clark Connors, yeah, and
Driller Maloney.
Sorry, did I say Clark Connors?
Yeah, Clark Connors was also
there. He was there, yeah. And Gabe wasn't?
Gabe was there.
Yeah, he was there, yeah. So all the War Dogs are there.
Yeah.
And they're interfering or distracting. But then Will comes out on the stage with a body bag. And the idea is you're meant to think he has taken Marina Shafir out and come back with her in a body bag.
Yep.
And then the Death Riders are like, what? And then Tanahashi gets the High Fly Flow win off that distraction.
Yeah.
And then it's just a weird sequence of the Bucks coming out. They super kick Will.
This is, I think, is where it gets a bit clunky because Will's distraction tactic to make you think that Marina's in the body bag is scuppered by the fact that he gets beaten up as part of the ruse by the Young Bucks, and then Paragon come out and brawl with the Young Bucks. Then it's revealed that it was actually Darby Allin that was in the body bag. Then that's when the War Dogs then come out for the brawl. Then the Ops run down for a brawl, and it just leads to Darby Allin doing a dive off the mezzanine onto all of them.
Very fun stuff, but the body bag reveal and drag out spot didn't work.
That didn't work for me either. Not been announced yet, but I would imagine a pre-show match, trios titles, Ops versus Drilla Maloney, Clark Connors, and Robbie X.
Yeah,
which means that Robbie X gets to wrestle.
Too. No Omega or Ibushi.
Well, no, in this. They're hurt. Can't have all of them run out for the end. We got a promo for Hangman versus MJF, and then Tony Schiavone interviewed Cope and Christian in the ring.
It's been a bumpy road to get here, but now we're here. It's brilliant.
It works now, right?
Yeah.
Because Cope said, because Christian was always like, "Hey, when I've got this microphone, you all have to shut your mouths." And Cope's like, "Guys, they like us now. We're supposed to not do this anymore." And Cope said, I learned that I've done a lot in my career. Sometimes you just need to have an arsehole with you. And you know what? He's my arsehole in terms of Christian. And Christian's like, we are not really on the same... We are not friends. We're not on the same page. Because it just turns out I've got a patriarchy problem that you're helping me out with. And you have an FTR problem I'm helping you out with. We're not on the same page, but we are writing from the same book at the very least.
Book. And he says after these two matches though, I can't promise you anything, but I promise you this version of Christian, who I've been for the last 3 years, I will be the best tag partner you've ever had, because you told me to go away and find myself, and I went away and I looked at myself in the mirror and I realized I'm perfect. Nothing needs to be changed. This was so funny. It doesn't undermine any of the character work.
Which is what I was worried about.
And there's this awesome chemistry of, they've got great chemistry anyway. They're Edge and Christian. But it's an Edge and Christian we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
It's both Christian is now on the same level, I would say singles-wise, as Edge, which was never really the case before. And also, they're an odd couple.
Yeah.
Christian is the grumpy one. Copeland's the excited, happy one. Copeland is a bit annoying by himself, but when he's with Christian, it really works.
Yeah, this is not a nostalgia run. This is two characters evolving and have come back together. And then we had Kip Sabian come out onto the stage.
Oh, Dan Layton. I've written Dan Layton here.
Martha was also there as well, but...
Shayna.
Yeah. But Nick Wayne appeared up on the screen to reveal that because they attacked him with the bat last week, he's broken his foot. But don't worry, he's found a suitable replacement for Forbidden Door. Luchasaurus made his return.
Well, technically Kill Switch.
They said Luchasaurus on commentary, but then when the graphic came up, he was called Kill Switch.
Yeah. So it was a cool reveal. I thought Nick Wayne's promo was really good, by the way. The Tron plays a kind of an operating theater, and Luchasaurus Kill Switch is in a medical bed, and they're injecting him, and he's like, roar! Now, the person injecting him...
I'm glad you brought this up. I didn't have time to get this into my edited review yesterday.
I didn't pick up on this, I just saw it being discussed. The jacket on the arms, because you only see the hands and the forearms, the jacket looks an awful lot like the Scapegoat Jack Perry's.
Are we going to get a heel Jurassic Express?
I hope so.
Yeah. Could put them together as a tag team. It's another tag team to go up against into this. What we kind of do need is a bit of a tag team division refresh. I say that we've been saying that for 3 years, I feel, within AEW, that we need a bit of a refresh.
Yeah, because we need people the Hurt Business haven't already beat.
We'll come on to that in a little bit, because I don't think anyone's beating them either. Anyway, Luchasaurus chokeslammed Cope and Christian to end this segment. Really happy to see Luchasaurus back.
Yeah, and really good stuff, because simple booking, Edge and Christian laid out. Challengers look strong, but Edge and Christian will likely go over at Forbidden Door.
I think so. We'll go on to our predictions in a short while. Mark Briscoe was backstage, and he said he's flown across the ocean to find Max, and boy, how is he going to find him? Max then walked up to Ricochet and the Gorillas of Destiny? Yeah. No.
Gates of Agony.
Gates of Agony.
You saw G-O,
and I was like, I just fill in the rest.
Auto-filled, yeah.
And then MJF said, like, hey, enemy of my enemy is my friend. You don't like Mark Briscoe, neither do I. Let's go get him, boys.
When this happened, I just thought, wow, so the Hurt Syndicate stuff really is just dropped.
Yeah. It's still in this Tron-like, but they have just dropped it from... I've got a bit of a theory. We'll come to this prediction show later. So then we had the finals of the tag title number one contendership tournament between FTR and Brodido. And I don't think I would have predicted this going in, but they went to a half an hour time limit draw, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I could have predicted it at the 25-minute mark.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is when the ring announcer went 5 minutes remaining, which means in AEW, it's a draw because they never do time counts otherwise.
I even thought at that point we might still get a winner in this and that's because they sold me on the near falls and I thought there's every chance actually we could still get a winner out of this.
Yeah, I agree with you though. This was an excellent match.
So great.
Brody King busted open hard way in the first 10 minutes. I think Stokely Hathaway had a loaded sling.
Yeah.
But as great as everyone was in the ring, it's Danielson's commentary that really added the sort of extra level of engagement here for me.
Ironically, the meat to the match was added by Bryan Danielson. But yeah, this was really good. The finish was awesome. Like Bandito reversing the Shadow Machine, FTR reversing the 21-plex twice, Bandito then nearly hitting a 42-plex on both of them, but then them hitting a Shadow Machine, and Brody King saving that pinfall at the very last second when it looked like he'd been taken out with a spike pile driver on the apron was absolutely incredible.
I feel like that should have been the finish. As in, like, that should have been, and then, like, 3 seconds after, that's time.
Yeah, because then Cash would have crashed through a table that they'd set up.
Then they did a weird 2 minutes extra. Not extra, but it was like 28 minutes at that point. And then they did 2 minutes where FDR tried to set up a table. And I was just like, that took me out of it.
Yeah,
so I was like,
we're wasting time here.
Why are you doing that? Just hit another Shadow Machine.
But they announced it will be a 3-way at Forbidden Door because we need to get the titles off the Hurt Syndicate and neither of them want to get pinned.
Yeah.
I've really come round to this way of thinking. I was really trying to look for the best in the Hurt Syndicate as part of AEW, but the longer this has gone on, the more I am being like, no, I just don't think they want to get beat.
So 25 minutes, this is my notes at 25 minutes because they do the ring time cool. 25 minutes gone by, 5 minutes remaining cool. So it's a draw. Hurt Business aren't losing their belts. Bandito are getting pinned. FTR pin Bandito.
That's what my prediction is as well. I think FTR win these belts by pinning probably Bandito.
Yeah, the two singles guys who have just come together for this tournament. It's a shame. FTR Hurt Syndicate isn't your proper heel face dynamic, but I think it would have worked, and I would have much preferred a proper win like that as opposed to what we are getting, which is just kind of a get out of a corner title change. Yeah. And it's just, if this is what it ends up being, where Hurt Syndicate lose their belts without getting pinned, I'm starting to get annoyed with them.
It's got a stench of the Andrades, the Miros, the Aleister Blacks, this idea of just like, we don't want to lose to any of these guys. And then they just end up not getting booked in matches. And then it becomes a question like, well, why aren't you putting them on TV? And it maybe becomes a negative about AEW not pushing these guys. But really, there's actually a problem with the fact with, well, then they're not looking to do, ironically, business. And, we're not looking to actually and it's Swerve's out there doing all these interviews being like, the morale in the locker room's way up now because everyone's actually there to actively help this company. But it does feel like there's now some of these guys that aren't there to help elevate people. Or is it a case of Bobby Lashley's like, why am I in a tag thing? I should be the world champion. I should more be in the main event scene.
Yeah, I can't lose these belts or ever get pinned because I'm going to go for the title next.
Yeah. Or he's going to be going up against MJF, which is more likely. But then we got a video promo for Swerve and Okada, which was very good. And then Hangman Page came out for a promo where he said, look, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to bother calling out Max. Because even if I did, he's a gutless coward. He's never going to show up and face me like a man. And then MJF appears on the screen. And he's got Mark Briscoe tied up with Ricochet and the Guerrillas of Destiny / Gates of Agony. And they pour gasoline over him. And they get a match. And it was like, we won't do this. And I actually thought it was a really nice little bit of extra detail out of this, which is that Tony Schiavone told Hangman Page, I've been given the instruction, you are not allowed to leave the ring, otherwise something bad will happen. So Hangman Page is now stuck in this ring. He can't leave, otherwise they're going to set Mark Briscoe on fire. And MJF lays down the law. At Forbidden Door, 1, I can win via DQ and still win the title. 2, I can win the title via countout. Number 3, I don't have to use my contract in order to get this shot. And Hangman Page reluctantly has to agree because he doesn't want to see his friend get set on fire. I thought this was it's goofy, massively goofy, because they were going to set a man on fire. But I do think, like, for the story that they've been telling, the characters they've been telling, and their motivations, this worked so well.
I felt like it jumped the shark for me. Not completely, but the threat that, because the promo segment last week where Hangman tricked Max into just agreeing to the using his contract for the match, I thought was brilliant. Like, that was a fantastic thing. And it's not like Hangman looked weak because he was trying to save his friend, understandably. And there's also the whole backstory of, well, Hangman, you did some pretty bad things to Swerve.
You burnt
his house down. You injected him with drugs. Like, this is just your own past being thrown back at you. But I guess what I don't like about it is, well, yeah, first off, I think it is they didn't earn the threat of
setting Mark Briscoe
on fire.
It's just so goofy.
It feels too rushed. It feels like whatever they originally had planned with the Hurt Syndicate would have been maybe a better story because it had longer to tell. This felt a bit rushed. But also now, I love the idea that the title can change hands on a DQ or a count out. That is great for Max's character.
It's got some really good drama actually in the match itself.
But the whole contract thing, Hangman going back on that after the good work that was done last week, and is it going to be a point where Hangman might beat MJF and then MJF cashes in his contract right after?
That is what my prediction is for Forbidden Door, is that Max is going to lose, then cash it in afterwards, and then the Hurt Syndicate cost him that, which is what's going to lead to the MJF and Bobby fuse. Which Bobby will always win.
Yeah, I can't see that being good. Or being great. It'll be fine, but I can't see that being great. And I feel like last week this was a great storyline, and now it's a good storyline.
I would agree with you. That's why I said, like, I thought this was so goofy. Because you're going to set it, like, you're not going to set a man on fire. Like, that doesn't feel like that is really sort of a part of Max's character. He's willing to set someone on fire. But I do think it is within Max's character to show the lengths that he is willing to go to, because he's so cowardly and he's so gutless that he just can't risk cashing in this casino gauntlet contract, that he's willing to set someone on fire to just not do that one thing, to have his safety blanket taken away from him. So that I like as a character perspective and as a reason to get us to this point here. I agree with you. It was better when it was baked in realism last week. And that's why I don't love this segment, because this is where it's gone from being the realism from last week into cartoony, goofy nonsense this week.
I'm just spitballing here. I don't know if this is a good idea. But do you think it would have been better if MJF appears on the Tron and it's like, oh, actually, maybe you were led to believe that Max was in Glasgow, but actually he's not in Glasgow. He's still in America. Hangman's got an ocean between him and his family. And MJF is in Hangman's house.
Yeah.
Or he's just like flicking a match in Hangman's garden.
Yeah.
Really replicate that original Swerve angle, lean into that.
Yeah.
And that is then you've got more of a sort of visual mirroring of Hangman's past.
Yeah.
And what really gets to him.
I mean, if I can add on to your very good pitch there, which is though, like, I'm not going to go into your house and cut a promo on a child, because I think that's a really low thing to do. But then, like, flicking a match outside to, like, I will set your house on fire though, because that's a level that you would stoop to.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry, no one's in there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to burn your house. I am your past. Yeah. You're not the great guy you claim to be.
You're not the main character.
Yeah. But it's going to be great. We're going to be there, and we're going to pop massively when they do the match restart for Max.
Or also, like, when they're teasing the DQs or when they're teasing the counts.
Well, I love that stuff. Yeah.
I was going to say, we'll be, like, really on the edge of our seat, begging Hangman Page to get back in before 9, or don't hit him at the title, because Max is going to be good. It's perfect for Max in terms of the story he can tell in ring, to do a lot of this DQ kind of stuff. So that's going to be great. Little goofy though.
But they did need something though, because I don't think anyone believes Hangman's going to lose the title at the first title defense.
Me too.
Well, first pay-per-view title defense.
And then our main event was Mercedes Moné and Athena taking on Alex Winter and Toni Storm. They just announced, Bozilla's going to be the fourth woman in the four-way. Sorry, we haven't got a lot of TV time. Really, what we've done for TV time is set up a singles match between Mercedes Moné and Alex Windsor, but it's Forbidden Door, so there are these two other people that are going to be there as well. But I will say, as a preview of Athena versus Toni Storm for this weekend, this was an excellent match because it really made me want to see the singles match because they have got incredible chemistry together.
Yeah, and Tony's selling the neck at the end, so you've got that jeopardy there. And whenever Tony is in the ring with Monet, that feels like Hangman Swerve. It feels like Rock Austin. This is a great feud that can last forever in AEW. And yeah, it's full credit to AEW and the women's division. Because usually when they put a women's tag or a women's match on in the main event, it's like, I just always think of that Deonna Purrazzo one. I'm like, what were you doing? You set them up to fail.
Yeah.
This, just like on Raw, it's like, oh yeah, the women are main eventing. Totally on merit. And it's great.
When you've got a megastar like Toni Storm is to this AEW audience. And actually Mercedes Moné as well. And they're super into Athena. It's kind of less so. I feel like they're just sort of starting to get into Alex Windsor. It really felt like they were just relying on the fact that she's from the UK. But she's from Norwich and they're in Glasgow. It's a different country. But I don't think it was like a huge reaction for Alex Windsor. I think there's still a bit of work to do there.
Toni Storm did scream at Monet at one point. Get in my belly. It's a Fat Bastard reference in Scotland.
In 2025.
Oh, yeah.
And so Windsor had Monet, she tapped out Monet with the sharpshooter, but she was not the legal woman. So Athena then hit the O-face out of nowhere to get the win while Storm was getting some medical attention. Great
booking.
Yeah.
The Monet visually taps. That's the match. Her and Windsor. Athena gets the win. I thought that was really smart booking. I thought actually a lot of the just flow of the show was really good booking in general. The way the opening promo segment went straight into the match. Yeah. Although I didn't love the Max reveal, that was nicely set up. A good episode. A good go-home episode.
With only 3 matches on it as well, because one of them went half an hour. I thought this very effectively builds to Forbidden Door this weekend. And if you are one of those people that were there, it's not like you got shortchanged or anything with 3 matches, because you also had the Collision taping and the Ring of Honor taping as well, which had Grado wrestling on the show, and the Collision taping had Isla Dawn debut on it as well. So there was a lot there for this Glasgow crowd, who I thought were excellent all night. Well, I know there's a link in the video description down below to go get Oliver Davis's new book. However, there's
that guy. What's Oliver Davis doing in the Impact Zone?
But you can also click the link to sign up for Wrestle League, where you can compete against us in predictions warfare, where there's a whole lot of fun and prizes to be won. We're going to go through our predictions now for Forbidden Door. Currently got 9 matches on the card. As I said, I'd imagine the trios match will get added down the line. But let's kick things off with Cope and Christian versus Kill Switch and Kip Sabian.
Pretty easy. Edge and Christian win. This is a nice setup for them to face FTR for the tag belts in Toronto.
Well, should we just do that then? Hurt Syndicate taking on Brodido of Brody King and Bandito, taking on FTR for the AEW World Tag Team Championships.
FTR pinning Bandito.
That's what I think as well.
Yes.
We've also got, let's do Kazuchika Okada versus Swerve Strickland for the Unified Championship.
Yeah, this is a bit more of a tricky one, I think. I do think it is 50-50.
I've gone for Okada in Wrestle League.
Yeah.
He's only just won this belt. And I think they're going to run with.
But he has kind of had the belt forever at the same time,
and he is now like the longest reigning AEW champion of all time. And I think they're going to continue running with that gimmick. He's going to hold on to that belt for like 1,000 days.
But like Swerve, what does Swerve do now? I feel like Swerve is what against Hangman.
Wouldn't mind
that is there.
You want to compete against Cena and Brock? You've got to put on a big match if you want to try and convince people. And you can't do Hangman and Mox again. You're not going to have that all-in magic. So doing Hangman and Swerve 1 year on from their Lights Out. Was it last year, the Lights Out cage match?
It was all out. Yeah.
So 1 year on, them getting back, them having another match together.
That is a good shout, actually. Thanks. God damn. I'm going to go Swerve.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go Swerve. I do think it's 50-50.
I'm going with Okada on that one. Timeless Toni Storm defends the AEW Women's World Championship against Athena.
I could see Athena winning, but because she's been great. I think this would really establish her on the quote unquote main roster. But I feel like Toni Storm is going to retain again.
Me too. I don't know who she goes up against next, though, is the question. Because I don't know who she's got that's also a top level. Like, they are very much positioning Alex Windsor in that position, but she doesn't feel like she's in that position just yet. Whereas Athena and Monet very much do. I don't know who else they've got within that like top level thing. With Jamie Hayter out injured. So I guess you could try and elevate Tekla and try and go sing with that.
Well, I love Willow, but I don't think Willow Storm works babyface.
Yeah. Mercedes Moné, speaking of, will defend the AEW TBS Championship against Alex Windsor. I can never say her name right.
Persephone.
Mm-hmm. Versus, but I just want to say Persephone. Persephone and
Persephone
and Bozilla.
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné.
Yeah.
She's going to get a new belt as well. Have you seen that she's having a title versus title match on the first night of Global Wars on Friday for Rev Pro against Emerson James. So I think she's going to win her title there as well.
Great.
And we've also got for the TNT Championship, Kyle Fletcher versus Hiromu Takahashi.
Yeah, Kyle Fletcher, easy. The Forbidden Door stuff,
This was one of my quicker Wrestle League prediction run-throughs.
It is always a bit predictable because, especially title matches, they're not generally going to go to the other promotion. Particularly if it's, no offense, Takahashi. He wasn't like the big surprise. Didn't they bill him as the best pound-for-pound wrestler in New Japan?
Did it on this show?
When they were building up who the surprise reveal is going to be.
Right, okay, yeah.
So, yeah. But definitely Kyle Fletcher. He's only just won it.
I agree. I think it's Kyle Fletcher here. You're right. Like these are always quite predictable shows, but these are more about like work rate shows and more about like match quality shows as opposed to unpredictable winners here. And it's Zack Sabre Jr., speaking of, defending the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship against Nigel McGuinness.
I'm so excited.
I can't believe that we're going to see this match.
This is my most anticipated match of the weekend.
Me too.
Cannot wait. Love Zack Sabre Jr. Love Nigel McGuinness. Two, I don't think they've ever met before.
Oh.
It's perfect. I really hope they both get a lot of time. And when I say a lot of time, like 15 minutes. And Nigel is great in it. And he has been good. He's in amazing shape for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. Not a chance in hell that McGuinness is winning.
Nope. This is Zack all the way.
This is Zack holding it for Takeshita to beat him. But yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. retaining. But I cannot wait.
I'm so excited for this match. I feel like of all the matches that are on this show, this is the one that's been talked about in the office the most of us that are going there. Like, Editor Kieran was giddy on Tuesday when he was like, we're going to get to see Nigel McGuinness versus Zack Sabre Jr. And for the AEW World Championship, it's Hangman Adam Page versus MJF. I'm going with that. I've gone this already. I think Hangman retains. MJF cashes in his Casino Gauntlet. Hurt Syndicate stopped him doing that, so that sets up Bobby and MJF. I wonder even if MJF is one of the reasons why they lose the tag titles, because he distracts them by accidentally in their three-way tag match.
Yeah, storyline wise, I don't know, but yeah, I think Hangman retains. It's his first PLE. Oh my god!
Oh no! That's one of the grossest things you've ever done on any podcast we've ever done together.
What an ick!
that is an ick, right?
If you're on a date with a girl, guys, and she says PLE rather than pay-per-view, get out of there. Actually, stay with her because then she knows what wrestling is.
Yeah, she's probably into wrestling.
I'm going to go Hangman Page.
I'm going to Hangman Page. I'm basing a lot of this off that I presume they're going to do a Bobby MJF feud, but they might not do. They've dropped everything else about that story, so they may just not do it. And lastly, in the main event, it will be a light-out steel cage match as Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay take on Claudio Castagnoli, Jon Moxley, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and Gabe Kidd.
Too many men.
What a mad match to put in a cage.
Of mostly injured people.
I've never seen a cage match on like a major international promotional level. Like, I've seen local cage matches where you have to get everyone out of the building so they can set the cage up and it takes like half an hour and then you go back in. But I've never seen it like by WWE or AEW.
Look, we're going to get to watch it be lowered.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, there's a lot of like this I'm like super stoked about. But there is also part of me that whenever I've watched cage matches on pay-per-view, I have thought, can anyone in the building actually see what's going on in a cage match? Let alone a cage match that's got 10 people in it.
Well, we'll have the Trons with the video feeds of the camera guys in the little hole bits.
Well, then I may as well be at home.
Yeah. Well, there'll be the atmosphere. Have you seen the New Japan cage?
No.
It covers the outside area.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
I think that's the only way this match works. It's not going to be blood and guts. That was my other theory for how they fit 10 guys in this match.
They've sold too many tickets. If this had not sold very well, I think there was a really good argument to make it blood and guts. But unfortunately, shucks, it sold really... It's actually, I think it's like 200 tickets away from a legit sellout.
200 tickets? That could be a ring. That's how many people equate to a ring. But yeah, the New Japan cage sort of, it goes up to the barricade pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then everyone can brawl outside and climb. And,
that does work. And I do hope it is something along those lines.
In terms of winners, though...
I'm going for the baby faces.
Yeah, I think baby faces send the crowd home happy.
It's Will. Like, Will's going to be the one to get the pin as well. Like, he'll do something mad because he's Will Ospreay, and it'll be delightful. I do... Okay, if I can just put my my cynical hat on for a second. If I was booking Hiroshi Tanahashi's last match in the UK, it would not be this match. Mm-hmm. If I was to book Hiroshi Tanahashi's last ever UK match, it would not where he is one of 10 men inside a steel cage.
Yeah, but I think maybe that's just where he is now.
But what Rev Pro are doing on night one, I think that's a 10-man tag. It's just not in a steel cage match. It's just like an all-star 10-man tag. That is a really good use of Hiroshi Tanahashi, like in his last set of UK matches that he's having. But here it's just part of like a wild inside a steel cage. Like it's a spectacle, sure. It's just not what I would do with Hiroshi Tanahashi.
It's a shame they've already done a Stadium Stampede Anarchy in the Arena match already this year. Yeah, because that would be more fitting for this, I think, or a Blood and Guts.
I think even then. I still think I'm putting Hiroshi Tanahashi in a cage match. But anyway, that's our predictions for Forbidden Door, which just brings us to comments and recommendations.
Yes, let's have a look at our comments. Of course, last week we had the Cowboy James Storm on the show. Mm-hmm. And
the James Storm show. It was a lot of fun.
Basketball, blah, 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 says, I vote for more past TNA champions on the show. Who would we have?
Who would we have?
Sting, Kurt Angle, Mick Foley.
I think if I had Samoa Joe in the studio,
he's too cool.
He's too cool. I think I'd have the same thing if Too Cool were in. If Scotty Too Hotty was in this room as well, I think I'd be a bit overwhelmed. I'd be so overwhelmed if Samoa Joe was sat next to me.
Raven.
I don't ever want to meet Raven. With all due respect, I don't ever want to interview Raven. I don't think I ever want to meet him in person because I just don't think I'm going to have a fun time.
Let's make it happen, everybody. Let's get him booked.
Like, he doesn't know who I am, and that's completely fine. And I just think there's too much expectation on it. I think it'd just be awkward.
I'm just trying to think of... Abyss? It would be Abyss.
Chris Park in this room would be fantastic.
There it is.
I would absolutely love it to be
That's
Abyss.
Who we're agreeing on. Yeah. Diabetic Man says, 3 minutes in, and Ollie and James Storm have booked the perfect debut for the latter. Book it, Tony Khan. This is, of course, Beer Monet.
Love it.
Keep on the train. Let's get Beer Monet, the tag team, happening.
If you're going to Forbidden Door, try and get that. Maybe not do it during the Mercedes Moné match because I think it's quite disrespectful. But try and get that match, that chant going for a little bit.
Beer Monet
before the show starts. Mm-hmm. If you can if you can shout beer and see if you can, it's almost like Adam and Joe.
Yeah,
Steven, just coming.
Yeah. Okay. So if you want to identify another wrestling fan or WrestleTalk fan, shout beer in the crowd
and see if anyone responds with Monet.
And if they say yes, please, okay, that's a good response, but you don't know what I'm doing. It's going to be Monet.
Or if they chant money, great, correct response, but not the one we're after. It's good, but it's not right.
Yeah. Gunner's fan has a better version though. We need a Tony, James, Lance, and Tim faction All the
All the
Storms.
Storms.
Wait, who's Tim
I was
Storm?
going to say, I don't know who Tim Storm is. I thought you'd put that down there because some like 2000s comedian that you
I
really
don't know who
liked.
Tim Storm is. And then Ben Weirtrack replied, it would be a perfect storm of talent.
Let's have a look. Tim Storm. I've got Tim Storms. He was actually a wrestler. He's currently 60 years old. He was born in 1965. Timothy Scoggins, better known by the name Tim Storm. He's a former NWA World Champion.
Oh, right,
Looks
okay,
like
there
a
you go.
proper bloke's bloke.
A bloke's bloke, like us. And finally, Felixius. Now, I had been pushing this for the week leading up to the James Storm interview to Luke.
And I kept shutting it down.
And when it came to the day, I chickened out. So Felixius says, James Storm shouting out MySpace is because at the start of the episode, I do the you can subscribe to us here, here, and here. And James Storm said MySpace. And I don't know about you, but when he did that, in my head, I went,
You see, I didn't because I thought it was a Facebook post. I thought.
okay.
Maybe you're right. Like it was MySpace, but I've remembered it being a Facebook thing. But now that you've said it on MySpace, that actually does make way more sense. A, for the time frame that it happened, and B, the person who did it.
Yeah, Felixia says, James Storm shouting out MySpace is so thematic when Ollie and Luke reacted to the post James Storm made on MySpace. This is from our TNA Samoa Joe Kurt Angle series over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. And on one of those shows, there's a news story at the time.
No. There was just a backstage interview who made her debut on the show, and then you went to find out who she is. There wasn't even a news story about it. This was your own journalism.
This was my detective work. And I found out that she, on whatever interview, she had also been in a relationship with James Storm for I don't know how long. And I also found James Storm's MySpace post declaring how this interviewer was the love of his life. And it looked like they'd been dating for 2 months, and it was way too much sharing.
And you kept saying, we should talk to him about it. I was like, we definitely should not talk to him about it.
I'm sure he's over it.
I'm sure we should definitely not bring this up at all. Like if we just borrow it, who do you think she is?
Yeah. So for this week's comments, what do we want people to talk about?
Good.
Maybe just Beer Monet stories. So I'm sure loads of you are going to Forbidden Door. Or maybe even Raw in Birmingham or UK stuff or even in shows in the States.
That's what we should do is, come back like on Tuesday after Forbidden Door, after Raw in Birmingham, and actually some of the UK house shows that WWE are doing as well, and leave a comment to be like, I tried it and... what happened? I want to hear genuine stories though. What I want to hear is like, I tried it and I got laid. Like I don't want made up stories.
Those are all my stories though. I won't be here next week. I'll be here for the Raw podcast, but I'll be away at a wedding for the podcast. So Dan Layton will be filling in for me. Any recommendations before we get out of here?
I do, actually, yes.
And why is it HearRational?
It is not HearRational, although it is a good recommendation.
It's a great pun, you see, because it means irrational. And it's about how people just don't listen to each other these days.
Very good. I mean, like, I don't know if I told you this. I took part... on Friday last week in a university study about YouTube and burnout.
Oh, I've done the same one.
Yes, because I think because the person who did it said that...
I said she should talk to you.
Yeah, because he said that I would really like jump at the opportunity to do it. And I did, and it was a really fascinating chat. But I talked a lot about how YouTube comments often listen but don't hear, or rather they hear but don't listen. So they'll just hear something you say, make up their own mind of what it is you then said, but then actually listen to what you actually said within the context and just get a completely different read of it. And I think that is one of the bad things about internet conversations at the moment.
That's what this is about.
Hello.
That's what this is about.
But my recommendation is something very different. So there's I don't know if you can call it a board game, but there's a game called Micro Macro, which is basically you get this giant white sheet and it has got this sort of like very cool like detailed 3D drawing of a town that's got lots of people walking around it, and then you get given like clues to try and solve mysteries within that, and you kind of follow in reverse order of events how these things happen within this really detailed town. It's a bit like Where's Wally or Where's Waldo for our American viewers. We got to try and find where these things are and be like, oh, this links to this. He was wearing a hat here. There's a person over here wearing a hat. And you try to trace it back. It's brilliant. I love it. There's now an app version of it.
Really?
On iOS.
Because me and my partner play this game all the time.
So Micro Macro is now available as an app, and it's really, really good. And I've done like 8 or so cases while I've been on like tube rides.
This podcast.
Not for listening to you at all. But it is genuinely brilliant. Like the first 3 cases are free, and then like ESPN Plus or Disney Plus, you then have to pay to get the full thing. But it's only a $5. So I've bought it, and it's dead good.
Well, that's great. That's what I want from board games, is for them to go digital.
It's less of it, because I think the brilliance of Micro Macro is it is to play with friends or to play with like loved ones, families. But this one is a nice sort of like solo thing you can just do while you're on commute. They're much easier. Like I found like the paper version of it's got some really tricky. Granted, I've only done like up to 3-star cases, but some of them are like pretty simple. Yeah, I've done them in most like 7 minutes.
Of course, my recommendation is my own book, HearRational. Use the link in the video description or podcast description to pre-order your copy. But my other recommendation will be a 2-parter. Firstly, Moses Atami is this great boxer. He's really young, and he beat Dylan White at the weekend. And it's like, in the first round, and like, oh my God, he's going to be the next big hope of British boxing. So go watch that. It's a very quick fight. It's over in 2 minutes.
Sounds like a GIF.
But he's really exciting. And then the Rest is History, which is the sort of Rest is podcast group. The Rest is History this week have released a podcast episode entirely on what's called the Fight of the Century from the 19th century. Oh. So this is the 1800s. If it's confusing. And it's this, I can't remember the names, but it's like a Brighton-born tough lad called Tom versus this Gangs of New York style Irish fella called Heenan over in America, and they both come over and have this fight in Hampshire in a field. But it just goes into the sort of how boxing used to be, the sort of prize fighting era, different rules. These were the days when you would just fight until the other person was comatose, essentially. So 40 rounds, 2 3-hour-long fights. But it's really fascinating to listen to from the perspective of a wrestling fan. Okay. Because you're just like, that's this. I can see how the wrestling and work would spin out of that in the early carnival days. And
how promotion.
Just the sort of grimy crime, very, it sounds like a derogatory word, but it is the technically correct word, like the plebeian classes of what their system of honor and sport was.
That's cool.
Stuff like, I didn't know that the word fans comes from fancy, as in you would dress up fancy. You'd like the aristocrats would come and watch stuff like this.
No way.
I'm pretty sure there were just so many bits like that. The phrase "well turned out," I think is a boxing phrase, because you would have your feet slightly turned out, and that's like, oh, he's ready, he's well turned out for this. It's really, really interesting stuff. A lot of roots of phrases and sayings.
Oh, that's interesting.
So go listen to that.
Cool. I'd not listened to the rest of the history because I'm a bit thick, so a lot of it just goes over my head.
It's just like current affairs, but old.
Well, I did have this with Sullivan recently, because we were doing the last Brainbusters taping, and he was complaining about the Saturday Night's Main Event one, because he was like, a lot of this happened before I was born. I was like, Sullivan, you'd like history. All of that happened before you were born. You know all about that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here today. Of course, go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to get loads more exclusive videos, like the complete series of the rise and fall of the Nexus. And if you want to dig it out, that bit where I make fun of James Storm's MySpace post. Please don't tell him. It was years ago. No, it was last year. It was last year.
For him, it was years ago, because it happened like the mid-2000s.
And yes, please subscribe. We will be back on Monday for the Forbidden Door review. But please do come say hi at Forbidden Door. Where will we be? We'll just be hanging outside the O2.
We'll be outside the O2. We're going to post pictures up onto the socials to be like, we are here. We're going to try and find like a good area to hang out and meet some people. Shout beer when you see us, and we'll reply with Monet.
And bring it as well. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luca and DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam, everyone. Book.